We hope that this evening will inspire you to come out and join us for the rest of our dinner series, which we'll talk a little bit more about later on this evening. So just a few quick words about the Van Horne Institute. There are still a lot of people in this town that scratch their heads and say, who was Cornelius Van Horne and who's the Van Horne Institute? That's a speech for another day, you'll be pleased to hear. But the Van Horne Institute was founded as a partnership between the University of Calgary and some individuals in town here who were very concerned about 15, 20 years ago as to where is the next generation of employees going to come from in companies that are involved in transportation, supply chain, and logistics. Where are they coming from? Who's teaching transportation was the question. Well, the short answer was nobody. A little bit at UBC, something at the University of Manitoba, but really nothing in the field. So the concept was to come together with the University of Calgary to develop a program, which I'm happy to tell you is well underway at the Haskayne School of Business. It's an advanced supply chain and logistics program that consists of 4-year Bachelor of Commerce program with the final 2 years as a concentration in supply chain and logistics. So one of the objectives of the founders is well underway to being met. But the Van Horne Institute doesn't just deal with the issues of education. We're actually talking about education this evening, and I'll come back to that. But we also involve ourselves in public policy research. And there are such a large number of issues that just cry out for examination these days and some logical, focused thinking. One of the concerns you probably heard about in the paper today is, what about this ring road? Is a ring road something that we should be investing all those dollars in? Well, I think when you look at it carefully and critically, and as people involved in transportation and supply chain, you'll recognize that this is going to be a great investment for the city to put that ring road through, to ensure that the fluidity that's going to be created by the addition of that final leg in the ring road is going to enhance our ability as the Calgary region to become literally the major distribution hub in Western Canada. So issues like that, they need to be examined, they need to be looked at. I'm pleased to tell you that with the assistance of the Calgary Regional Partnership, we will actually be presenting and developing a study on the ring road, and that's something that we hope to get done in relatively quick order. Let me get back to education, the role of the Van Horne Institute. Not only do we work at the university level, but we're also working with the Calgary Board of Education, literally to drive supply chain and logistics into the high school format. It's very important for institutions which are aspiring to, and in fact now are, teaching supply chain and logistics, to have a feedstock of students coming into the programs that in turn can create better volumes of students in the existing programs. Bow Valley College, for example, is starting up a program. SAIT's starting up a program. Mount Royal University has a program, and I've already mentioned the program at the University of Calgary. The Institute's interest in education goes a little further than that. We've worked with the Government of Alberta on a couple of initiatives, the last one being on the whole question of how do we locate and challenge young individuals who are no longer in school, they're either unemployed or underemployed. How do we challenge them to step out of wherever they are and take up a career in supply chain and logistics? It's an interesting challenge. We'll be issuing a report on that very soon, and I think you'll find that the program that's being suggested in that particular report is going to be very, very influential to the Government of Alberta when it develops its youth employment strategy. So let's bring it to this evening. Why is the Van Horne Institute so fundamentally passionate about what we're doing here? Well, clearly, we're in the business of finding talent to fulfill jobs in the supply chain and logistics field. Well, when I look around this room, I suspect I'm looking at a lot of talented, passionate supply chain professionals, or people who want to be supply chain professionals. This evening's an opportunity to hear from one of those individuals. We're going to hear her passion, her journey, and how she had the courage. So with that, Linda, thank you very much for those introductory remarks. And perhaps I can just go one step further and recognize CN for their contribution to this dinner series. They are a prime sponsor for the dinner series, and please join me in thanking CN for their contribution to this evening.